Okay, so the Fuseki, this is people's liking, the way they chose they want this game to go. So far, nothing to comment. So here, choice for white would be to just play here. This is especially important because the Shimari has a strong influence towards the top side. So when we choose this kind of Joseki, we nullify the influence of black on the top, which is very nice. Even if it's Gote, it's very likely that now black will play the lower side, something like that, and then white can go back to extend on the side, maybe make Miai of left side and the lower side. For example, if black plays something like that, we can start approaching the lower sides. Sansan is a really good alternative to this. And here black would like, if possible, to take center to switch to A, because white didn't play. The sequence ABC on the top, it's extremely big. Black would like to finish in center, but this is not clear. It kind of depends on white. And white Tsukefa now would be a very tempting time to finish in center. So playing like this on the top is huge, because black ignored, white can continue with something like that. Certainly now we should extend. The black shape on the left is not so strong, of course, because with the Nuki. For example, white can play this kind of move and still threaten to invade somehow, but black can manage this fight because black already took a very nice point on the top. If white comes here, for example, we can make a little bit extra thickness and then approach with this Tsuke. Maybe white this time doesn't want to play Hane because he doesn't want black to get the rhythm here. And then switch to this kind of attack on the 5 stones on the top. So this would be a general idea of how this game should develop. In the game, black decided for thickness, so this is very calm way of playing. This time black, of course, is much stronger on the lower side. But this in turn is giving white the opportunity to play the nice point on the top. And now main option would be A or somewhere on the side. B was the choice of black. Pretty difficult choice here, but the AI suggestion would be that this is slightly bigger. And waiting a little bit to see how white will play. I think now the lower side becomes important, but otherwise the game has a normal development. So far, both players are playing a very balanced game. There is nothing wrong, nothing to comment really. So when black plays here, white would still like to take the Miai point, so coming on the side looks pretty attractive. And the continuation should still be to take the vital point here, even if it's a bit narrow. In the game, white immediately extend from the wall in order to attack this black. Now it's still tempting to play here. I mean, this was always a really top choice. In fact, black is doing that because he's testing with Tsuke, and then he just switches to this. So this is a very strong play by black. Somehow he managed some agi on the right side, and now switching to the large point here is mandatory. As a side note, white, it's probably better to play like this. And depends on the timing of black's cut, white will decide to react then. This is a little bit passive, so now black can comfortably switch to the point on this side, and white is pushing the attack on the black stone. This is also okay, this is a strong attitude also by white. Black decided to turn to this point. We have the lower side here, this kind of point is very urgent. Defending here it's also very big as black. On the top side, maybe not so attractive because anyway side is open at M18, so not really attractive to play, but it will become important at some point. Blocking at D, it's a pretty large move. So black decided to come from this side, which is prompting this answer from white. White has to play here. If white simply defend in the corner, then the life in the corner will become very painful. So when black play here, white still has some job to do. We cannot ignore yet because of b5, but now for white is a turning moment. In the game white defended like that, but it's probably better to start doing some action here, testing how black will react to this. It's important because black cannot really sagari down, so black will probably play like that, and then white should test again black's reaction before defending. If black defends like this, for example, then white doesn't need to play anymore in this area. This means we can take center. So now the capture of 2 stones become rather small. White has the opportunity to make a second eye, so it's not a problem anymore. You know? White maybe didn't want to create to spoil the agi and just played here. Also, this of course creates the cutting point, but on the other hand, black is center now, and black decided to play this kind of ambitious move, trying to do a lot of things at the same time, like erase a little bit white's potential in the center, increase black's potential, and protect also the left side, also the lower side. But this move is also over ambitious, and in theory it loses a little bit. The normal move, if you wanted to play locally, would be to just turn everything into territory with one move here, and from this base then you should build towards the center, and depends very much on how white reacts as well. White could hane here to start attacking, and maybe after this we will think later about this kind of move, somehow make a box shape. Black can also try to move out. If white answer everything, that would be a great Kikashi style, and black can move in style with this kind of hane. I mean, this would be quite stylish from black to make such a sabaki on the right side. Black is challenging white with this move to somehow enter and do stuff. This is a difficult moment of choice for white, so let's keep a clear head about the position, because it's important to have a clear head. First of all, black's jump at A was important, but black didn't do it, so white can react with hane at any point, or maybe even attacking with A could be an option. A, B, C could be a very strong attack. Black shape is somehow imperfect on the lower side, so actually the AI suggestion is to start with something like that. This is more like testing, because black can defend in many ways. Black can connect, but black can tsuke or jump on top, play this kind of move. So it's rather important to see how black plays, or black could totally ignore white and play some other point. But the idea is that if black comes back to protecting here, because otherwise this is not territory, now this move doesn't become an impressive move anymore. It's rather too tight, and if black connects, for example, like in the game, white can play something like that, but then the suggestion continuation would be something like this. For example, if black closes this side, the white can jump out on the other side. Depends on how black wants to approach. If black plays something like that, then white can make shape. White will end up living inside this black area there, preferably with as less painful shape as possible. So in the game, white invaded directly and then played this move. Black would also try to go for capturing the left side territory, but black is going for an all-out attack. White jumped. It was better to not be out. If black continued pushing, white wants to play like this. It's impossible to kill this group, so this is better than the game actually. In the game, white jumped here. Now black has a very severe move. Black could start an attack. White sabaki will rely on playing this kind of move, but first of all, maybe white can try something around here. White can aim at a ko at any time in his sabaki scheme. White can try to play this kind of ko, but this is very complicated. If white plays like this, for example, then if black goes for the normal sequence, we could expect something like that. Well, black wants to keep attacking this group strongly. In the game, the meaning of this move is to block white's access towards the top side, so the top side becomes really big actually, because next with a move around A or B, black can make the entire territory there. Now white answer like this, which is again a little bit slack. It was better to connect here, to make shape here, and black will probably play something around here. General idea is that white gets closed in and he has to make life, so black gets quite strong on the outside by attacking, but in this fashion actually white is still preserving a little bit of a lead. The fuseki was a little bit better for white actually, so if white manages a good sabaki here, white could keep the lead. Black decided to counter attack like this. Maybe a good solution would be to turn and let white capture one time here. In this fashion, black keeps a very strong shape. Black decided to play here, which is really aggressive. And here it's quite important for white to make proper choice of shape. For example, white played here, which is a big shape blunder. The correct shape would be to jump here. If black defends here, then this is really good shape. If black defends like that, then white can enter in between the stones and still get his good result. So black really doesn't have a good move here. If black plays something like this to connect in the center, white will prepare, but now still black has to protect somehow his cutting point. And the idea is that white gets out in the center, and black is still quite weak with his wall. In this fashion, white can keep a slight lead in this game. But this was a terrible blunder that immediately black exploited, spotted the opportunity to play this. This is a big loss again. Every move around here, it's a big loss in the computer chart. This is because black gets absolutely perfect shape and is completely closing white in. The moves are just in the perfect place every single move. Right? So for example, even here white should realize the mistake and keep pushing out and go for something different. But anyway, this is a failure. It may look like correct shape jumping from the wall, but when you see this tough counter attack, so we cannot no be out here because black will immediately cut. We cannot cut black at d6 yet, and we have a lot of problems now. White is almost dead in the center, so we cannot play like this. White cut, which is a ajikeshi, because we have a move at f2 that it's very dangerous for black still. So making black shape strong like this, it's something that we don't want to do. The AI keeps wanting to hane here. You have to go out no matter what. In the game, white just went for making life, and this is very, very painful. The AI estimation is that black is around 3 points ahead. Before invading the left side, white was slightly ahead. White lost potentially the game. From this point on, it's quite hard to come back. If we analyze the position without this exchange made, the best move that black can make in order to keep his territory is Kosumi. Even Keima would immediately meet some resistance by white because of this kind of moves. Combined with the aji of the cutting here, black cannot manage to keep this into territory. So we see how big was our choice to Atari at A. Now black has the leisure to play Keima. He can just close the territory with this move. Any further than that, and it's too dangerous because of the aji at f2. This is very tricky also, we should not forget. There is quite a bit of aji with the cutting points at A and B, so black has to be careful. The shape is really good. I mean, why was so wrong the way white played around here? Because it gives black such a perfect shape. You normally don't get such a perfect shape in the game of Go. The opponent has to be really nice to you. Well, this 2K is a little bit over ambitious and is not really going to build some profit. I mean, if we play like that, we are hurting the sabaki on the right side. So this is really not turning into territory the lower side, so it was just better to play Keima. So even after this, AI still suggests that we play here, but then the exchanges of these two stones versus these two stones is probably better left unplayed. At this stage, white somehow wants to keep an attack on the two black stones and also to keep a check of the center, but the loss induced by this sente hane is so big that black's lead almost doubles. So now black is comfortably something like 5 points ahead. Suggested sequence would be to play this style, to play hane like this and come back to connect. So like this, white really makes a strong shape. So for example, this is one possible continuation. Black has to do something about the sabaki on this side, and pretty soon white will turn here. So this is a much more thick way of playing with white. This way of playing is leaving behind a dangerous cutting point, so here black should take the opportunity to push one time to make sure that he has the cutting point before defending. And if white cut, for example, black plays something like that, after white makes shape like that, black's next move is a tesuji that is really not easy to see for this cutting point here. If white plays from this side, then the fight is really tough because going out it's very dangerous. So white has to capture like that, but this gives black a sente atari at L4, which turns everything on the lower side into territory. So now black can switch back to his planned sabaki on the side, something like that. Maybe now we can the usual style to test this kind of moves, you know, test a little bit the reaction of the opponent. If white reacts like this, we can jump to make sure that everything is fine. If white plays something like that, generally black can manage this sabaki very well. If we play somewhere else, we leave behind the aji of hane, so in combination with this kind of move, this aji is very, very dangerous, and white can immediately make a life and even threaten black's group. Now you probably better see the meaning of this tesuji. making sure that white cannot hane at L4 makes a world of a difference. So now black is free to play some other plays. Very, very detailed, very nice feedback from the AI here. So now white is attacking black, but this move is a little bit over-optimistic. Black sabaki is really easy in many ways. Black decided to go for this. And here white made a mistake. The AI says that black should double hane here. If black double hane, whatever happens after this, black has a super solid lead. After this kind of move, black's weaknesses in the center start to disappear. If white is simply content with capturing the black stone at R9, black will get the large point on the top, and that's it. Black is comfortably ahead. So here black no b out, which is a little bit of a loss. But white's continuing to push here, it's also the wrong choice. White somehow has to hit this point pretty fast. If black goes back to connect in the center, white can at least take this territory with good shape. So playing here, it's begging black to play the vital point here. I really don't know why black didn't. It becomes impossible to touch this point here because of the cutting. This is super dangerous. This cut will come, and if it's something like this, black sabaki is really super easy here. Whatever we want should be fine. Black's eye shape is very strong. So once black play here, there is no way to continue attacking this group. White has to play something in this area to aim at the vital point, but black can make a shape. Maybe you want to kill the eyes, trying to figure out some potential attack from white, but all of them look impossible to do anything. If I was black, I would think about this kind of Tesuji to really go out there, because I don't believe this group can be killed. But of course we have to be very cautious in the game. Probably black felt a little bit of danger and came here, which is severely criticized by the computer, and indeed this is anti-shape, because if you play here, clearly this is not the point where the opponent wants to play. If white play here, you just get a perfect shape. So if this is not the place where the opponent wants to play, then it's not the place that you should play. So black playing here will induce immediately this severe counter attack from white, and this time black shape is difficult. The eye shape is not easy, and black will have to struggle quite a lot to live here. White indeed counter attack and went for taking his territory here. So at this stage, black obviously lost quite a bit. Black should probably continue with something like this. This move is another blunder from black. This is giving white some chance, because what's important in this game is on the top side turning and extending if possible. On the lower side entering with this kind of point at B or C. So those are the key follow-ups after the fight is finished. For now, black's group doesn't have eyes. White can exploit this. This was a big blunder from white, playing hane from this side. White should come from the outside. After Atari once, black has to take the extension. Everything black worked for, all the wall on the top. If white gets to extend on the side, the territory will become white territory, and this is too much. But then against this kind of move, black has to live with such a shape that will make the capture of two stones sente. So after white played this kind of move, black has to struggle to live here. White becomes very solid. I mean, this capture also, if it happens like this, you can see that white got a lot of profit from his attack. If white can turn to this kind of move on the left, white is also getting much stronger in the center, so there is good reason to hunt the cutting points here, A or B. Black is in trouble. For example, if black defends his territory with something like that, white can go for this kind of moves, preparing even further big attack on the center stones, and we can see that black lost a lot of ground. So playing hane from this side, this is a big blunder that black exploited by pushing out here, and then Atari. For white to connect would mean leaving black easy, because it makes the stone at S18 less valuable. So for white, the cutting timing is now, but then black takes the opportunity to cut in center here. If black manages to live in center with the group on the right side, black is comfortably ahead. Just pushing down here, allowing the capture and playing this hane is good enough for black to comfortably win in this game. In the game, black was very severe by playing like this, but this move is also over ambitious. This is probably the crucial moment of this game. White's move here loses, according to Katago, about 11 points, so this is a huge tactical blunder. So that's white's continuation here. It's really not easy to find. It requires a lot of reading, so in a way you cannot blame the white player after an already complicated game to reach this position for not finding the move. The AI move is this one. It's a move that doesn't do a good job on both sides, but it affects the both sides. Black cannot escape on the top. The problem is this cut, that's why in the game white protected there. So the idea with this cut is that it will go something like that. Black needs to prepare a little bit. Now we have enough liberties on each side. After white wins this, there is a possibility of trying some kind of ko against the corner, but this is very, very far-fetched. Now a lot of variations also how to deal with the top side. First instinct would be this kind of move, for example, for connecting underneath somehow, but we should not forget that white is also aiming at this. So as long as this move is on the board, probably black cannot manage to connect there because he will be hunted by this move. After this, black gets a lead of over 10 points. Basically after this the game is completely finished, but black should simply push out. White cannot block here. But again, this is not easy to read everything like that. So black needs to prevent the capture of those stones here, but also this is Sente, and after that we go for the vital point here. After this, white will lose this semi-eye by 1 liberty. From this point on, maybe you have to read 20 more moves. But if black did read all that, black could finish the game in one shot. By jumping out, black is losing something like 5 points out of his estimated 10 points lead. So this is quite a bit. Pushing out here, it's also very dangerous. Filling the liberty makes white play like this. After white plays here. If we protect now, if we just continue taking the liberties, white doesn't need the ko anymore. White can capture everything like this. One more time, black is looking for trouble, so black should have play here. After white play here, it's safe to push because now we can come back. So just a tiny order of moves that probably black didn't really consider that is dangerous. Could have made a pretty big difference. Nevertheless, black was lucky and white didn't hane, so now everything finishes with peaceful negotiation. After black hane here, black still secures a large territory on the top. Now the last challenge is if white can really ignore the group on the top and come on the lower side. So white is fighting back at full power. Of course, black now wants to also tease a little bit the group on the top, which is not in a good shape there. White got to Tenuki and come on the lower side, but this was missing the point. It's very important for white to push down one time. Even if black counter-attack here, white will manage with the group on the top and also with the group here. So this is dangerous for black, but it's again very long and tough sequence. The idea is that if black defends by playing hane underneath, now we can play. And anyway, black wants to counter-attack on this side. We should expect something like this, but this variation is playable for white because white managed to push down one time, and this creates some cutting points for black that are dangerous. In the game, by playing simply here, it gives black the chance to turn, which is giving black a chance to recover somehow. At this stage, something that was ignored by both players, so black played here. It's danger of white playing this kind of move and entering on the lower side. So black wants to start the Yose. This is a huge move, but the damage that black takes by f2 is too big. So basically, we want to play like this. The idea is that after this, if black really insists, black will not manage this fight. So this move is irresistible, which makes a very large black territory disappear. So black was ahead at this stage. How can black keep his lead? Simply defend Badaji. Even if this move comes, black now has a secure position in the center, and by playing normal Yose, black is ahead. Okay, so this was an adventure, but white answered. All the time black should come to protect, and all the time white should come to invade. In the end, by white accepting all those kikashis, white lost some extra points, so the gap is widening. And here, black probably thought this is absolutely Sente all the time. But the AI wants to come here and start making the trouble here. This is bigger than you would expect, because this is not only about territory. The entire black group here can be cut off, which can be a trouble, and also there are all kind of placement moves around K2 that can bring some extra trouble to black. So actually black can capture the entire white group on the right side with Ko, but it's still not as profitable as the entrance on the lower side. This obviously both players ignored. Now black started this Ko, which is a lot of pressure also on black, because if white wins this Ko, there is no more Ko to play on the corner, and the eye shape of black becomes also tricky. This is a big pressure on both sides. And now, really funny, the worst possible timing for white to come here is when black played this Ko threat, because after playing here, black will not continue the Ko but defend. When this becomes territory, the exchange A with B is losing points. Normally you put Hane underneath. The white's territory is the same, but black's territory increases by 5 points. White will have a chance to finish the Ko, but this loss is big. White also played this Ko threat, which is again losing a huge amount of points, because this time there is no more cutting point. Black can even push inside at D1 later. Black waited for white to make a maximum loss on the lower side before getting back his territory like this. So this is an absolutely huge deal here. White lost so many points. Black now is super comfortably ahead. But black should be careful with the next move. Black's next move was very ambitious, and what he wants is to make this Kikashi that white answered here, and like this he secures all 4 points here that normally white can make those points disappear by playing P19. So black wants to play this kind of exchange before taking care of his group, and he thinks this is the proper timing to do it, but it's over ambitious, because this move can be answered by white in this fashion. This is prompting the age of a Ko. If we protect now, this can become very dangerous for black. Black can die. Now white can defend here, but black is not alive. If this happens, say white play here, now white should come back to play this one. But now we have to make life, and this is giving white the opportunity to come back to play something like this, and there's a little bit of agi for the center black group. Nevertheless, black lost a lot of points here. His intention was to win points with Q19, but he lost some of his advantage. So the correct way for black to play would be the simple move here. This makes clearly 2 eyes for black here. It affects white's eye shape a little bit. So anyway, this is prompting white's good answer here. Yeah, this is recommended by the AI, that white plays like this and black makes 2 eyes. Black cannot really capture the corner without Ko. Black has to play another move, R19, but white has a Ko, so white can take center to come back to play on the lower side. This is pretty big. This is big also because later in Yose the cutting point creates a lot of badaji black will have to defend. And also we have some pretty badaji right now with this Hane and Kosumi, for example. Combined with the cutting points in the center, this looks a little bit fishy for black. Starting the Ko is also one of the good ways for white to play. This is anyway a hurtful move. Now white managed to play that. Black could cut here, but then he would die with the group here. So black is forced to somehow deal with the group on the right side. The best move would be to play like this. If white defends the stone, we can play here. This is also making eye shapes. White cannot kill black, of course. In the game, black play from this side, which is slightly different because later when white gets some stones in this area, black has to worry about the cutting point. So there is a potential to lose a few points in the center with that. And black immediately came back to this one, but black should try as quick as possible to finish up with the agi on this side. White missed a chance to start some big trouble here. White could play this move, so if black play like that, the situation becomes much worse on the lower side with this kind of agi. If black connects against this move, then black's shape in the center is not proper anymore. We have to protect from the other side. We have to protect like this, but then white will get to protect his center. Also, white managed to enter a little bit in black's territory, so while black is still ahead. So anyway, finally black is coming back to fixing the agi. Black is really blundering. This is over-ambitious, but black was ahead, so the solution here is to fix the shape, fix the agi, and just forget about counter-attacking all the time. This way black is leading, but black doesn't want the game to finish just like that. White had a really big chance right now to start the trouble on the top. So when white play like that, black has to play the ko, but against this kind of move, black has trouble because the lower side group is in danger. This is black really wanting to crush white, but this is an important moment of the game where black really overplayed. White doesn't have any choice but to go for this furikawari, and we get this semi-ai now, another reading contest, as if was not enough reading in this game, we get a final big tsumego here that is actually quite big. Black is still ahead because he was so much ahead after the fighting on the top, more than 10 points, that all this adventure was unnecessary and losing points for black. Nevertheless, we have to admire black's intention to go all the way with everything. This is a little bit like Chochi-kun, famous legendary player from Japan, who he was famous for never compromising anything, just entering very dangerous fights even if he was ahead, just because of the principle that if you compromise, you stand the risk of losing. The feeling is just unbearable, it's just too bad feeling, so he swore to himself to never lose like that anymore. That's why he wanted to have such a big load of fighting spirit. And you can see that also in the way black plays here, and also he clearly enjoys all these reading sequences. Here white made a pretty big mistake by cutting. White creates a ko that is losing points. White had another option here to simply jump. After black answer here, white could go for displacement. Now black doesn't have an eye, black has to steal the eye from white, going all the way for stealing the eye shape. I think we have to feel the liberties. In the end, we reach a semi-eye like this, which is a really strange shape. It's a seki with a ko on each side, so the most peaceful variation here is that somehow both sides finish the ko, but in fact you have to take the ko, white has to take the ko, connect, white connect. This would be a way to finish this shape peacefully if you want. But anyway, this is a seki that destroys much of black's territory. If white play like that, black will still win the game, but by much less margin. Somehow entering this variation, black is ahead close to 15 points now. So yeah, in a funny way this move also looks like making extra liberties but losing points. Black should simply play here. This was another chance for white, because black played this hane. White should immediately play like that. Black cannot capture, the ko would be very serious. Now you see, in terms of playing the semi-eye, black has to play like that. But you see now that white also managed to make 3 points inside, so if white wins the ko, there are some extra points inside. If you look at the way things happen, white simply played on the side, allowing black to play all those things here. So now it's still a ko, it's exactly a similar position to before, but white missed to make the 3 points. So of course this, when you are behind, if you unconditionally lose 3 points, this is a lot. But I can understand that white was just tired after all this reading. In the end, maybe tired to look for extra ko threat and just took the group here, but this is clearly a big advantage for black. The white should play this. This is an important move. Reverse center. Now black has to connect on neutral points here, which is important. White failed to do that, so white played this one and came back to this one, which black very smartly took the opportunity to play here, and now against this move black can play here. So this was 4 points reverse center. This is the value of this move is something like 8 points. So missing on such important detail is a crucial blunder in Yose. But what I can feel in this game is the fatigue of white after fighting so much everywhere, after really trying hard everywhere to be behind so many points. Anyway, from this point on, this is just simple Yose. So that was my commentary of this very, very complicated game. It shows how difficult the game of Go can be sometimes, but also how exciting, how many things can happen, seemingly from positions that have nothing left to offer. Okay, so this was my commentary of the fourth game from the London Open. See you and bye bye.